Hello. My name is Jim Lee, and I'm so glad that you are joining me today. I have three questions for you. First one: is your God big enough? Is your God close enough? Is your God you enough? Well, I got this from the title of Reverend Paul Smith's book by the same title. And Reverend Paul Smith, he was a Baptist minister in Kansas City. And when I went to seminary, which was a Unity Seminary, all of us, the students and the faculty, went to see him in Kansas City. That's how good Paul is. And his book is so appropriate for what I am talking about. I'm really into this, I would call a mystical experience, and it's experiencing the divine. So, this talk is really about for you having the opportunity to be, experience, not just think about it, not to have faith, but hopefully open the door for you to really experience it. So, in Paul's book, he talks about the Apostle Paul who went to Athens in Greece. And while he was there, he got up and he did this grand presentation in front of them. And in Acts, the 17th chapter, he talks about it. And this is some of the things of which the Apostle Paul said. The God who made the world and everything in it, the one who is sovereign of heaven and earth, does not live in temples made by human hands and is not served by human hands, as though God needed anything, since God alone gives to all life, breath, and all things. God is not far from each one of us, for in God we live and move, have our being, as even one of your own poets have said, for we too are God's offspring. So Paul is relating to the Greeks in Athens and say, wait, you all are familiar with this, but he breaking it down a different kind of way where he says, you know what? Your God is infinite, close, and or what I would call inner. And that is, we live and move and have our being in this presence as the inner I. Okay, now as we move on, I wanted to say this breaks down into three aspects. First of all, is your God big enough? I call it infinite I. Your God close enough? I call it intimate God. And is your God you enough? I call this the inner I. Now, we'll take a look at this. Is your God big enough? Well, let's take a look at this. If we take a look at Revelation verse 1 through 8, says, God says, I am the Alpha and the Omega. In the Greek alphabet, the Alpha is the A and the Omega is the Z. What is God is saying? Look, I'm the beginning and I'm the end. In fact, I'm the middle. I'm all there is. This is my almighty God. And I love it when I can feel this almighty God, and I call it the infinite I. I just want you to know, in case you're wondering, your God is big enough. Because there are times in which we need a big God to handle some of our big problems. So why don't we think of our God as creator of the universe, the essence of all of there is? And if we do, we can gain some insights into that. So Lisa and I went to see Neil deGrasse Tyson. He is a world-renowned astrophysicist. And he's an atheist, but he expanded my concept of God. And what he says is there is approximately 2 billion trillion stars in the universe. Or to put it another way, there are 200 sextillion. Wow, that's a lot. Means, in other words of saying it, there are goo gobs of stars in this magnificent universe. Not finished there. You say, how big is this universe? He says, our universe is big as 93 billion light years in diameter. And remember, 1 light year is 6 trillion miles. So this is bigger than big. But he didn't stop there. There is evidence that there are other universes. It's called the multiverse theory. When I looked it up, it says this universe may not be the only one. Instead, there may be an infinite number of universes, all of which could have their own laws of physics, their own collection of stars and galaxies. If they happen to have it, they probably have another kind of configuration and an infinite number of configurations of how things can be, including intelligent life. Wow! And remember now, we are one with this universe. And the universe is one with us, and is much larger than we can ever imagine. What I'm saying is, our God, our Creator, is really big. And instead of us feeling small about this, because there's just so much going on, instead I'm saying let's flip it and feel grand about this, because we are members of something. We are members and participants in something that is grand and large. And we have access to all of that power that's in the universe. And this universe, or universes, is unlimited. There's no limits. There's no boundaries to it. And our Creator that we belong to has no boundaries as well. So what I'm inviting us to do is to take a look at this, and so much so that our Creator can hold polar opposites in perfect harmony. God that I'm talking about is everything known and unknown. We don't even have words for this. We don't even have a concept for this. And no matter how grand we coming up, we're still limiting, and we're boxing God in. I like Meister Eckhart, the theologian and mystic from the 13th century, said, I pray to God to rid me of God. Say this again. I pray to God to rid me of God. What did he say? What is he saying? Sounds kind of weird, but he really is saying, I want to get past the smallness and the concepts and the labels of God. This God I'm talking about can't be contained like that. God is beyond words. This God is so big, we can't wrap our minds around God. But the beautiful thing is we can wrap our life around this God. This God is infinite, and we're one with it. Now I'm going to the next one. Is your God close enough? Yeah, I know he's out there and everything, but is he close enough? Is he intimate enough? Feel that. Because yes. Now the first one I said that God was an infinite God. That takes in that all lives matter. Now we're getting closer. The intimate guy said, your life matters. You, individually, are valuable and precious and a one-of-a-kind divine being in this human condition. You matter. No matter what your mind may be saying and all the things that are going in your head, that's not the truth. You matter. And it's just like, remember that poem, footprints in the sand, where it basically says that a person is observing themselves, and has to do to say that during life there are two pairs of footprints in the sand, one which belongs to God and the other to him or to her. And at some point, it seems as though the two pairs of footprints dwindled down into one. It is explained that there is only one because God is now carrying the individual. Well, we are experiencing at some point in our life what I would call hardships, sadness. Life can be a roller coaster ride, up and downs, ins and outs. But I want us to know something. No matter what's going on, God walks with us. And sometimes it's true, God even carries us. And from Hebrews, the 13th chapter, the 5th verse, it says, you know what? I will never leave you nor forsake you. And when you say that, it kind of feels good. Not ever. And I don't know for me. Sometimes in my darkest moments, sometimes I have a dark night of the soul. Sometimes it almost extends to like a dark month of the soul. I can feel lonely. I can feel alone. And I can feel lost. But when I think about it, especially if I go to the 23rd Psalm, which is one that I really like, really think about it. God does not save us from the valley of the shadow of death. For it says, thou art with me. The presence does something even better. The presence walks with us through the valley of the shadow of death, sometimes holding our hand and sometimes carrying us through. God is there, always there. And it reminds me of a song by the Jackson 5, and I think Michael Jackson led it, and it was entitled, I'll Be There. Just think about it for a moment. I know you've heard the song, but just think about, what if God was saying these words to you? Let me fill your heart with joy and laughter. Togetherness, well, it's all I'm after. Just call my name and I'll be there. I'll be there to protect you with an unselfish love that respects you. Just call my name and I'll be there. Oh, that sounds so good. But you notice that I didn't sing that because I really wanted to sound good and not scare you half to death. So these words, I'll be there, let them resonate, because that is the truth. And I don't know who wrote that, but it really resonates with me, because this is the intimate God. Your God is close enough. Now, the next one is your God you enough? I call it the infinite I. That's who you are. And Sue Monk Kidd has a quotation that I like, and she says, I came to believe that my true identity goes beyond the outer roles I play. It transcends the ego. I came to understand that there is an authentic I within, an I am, or divine spark, within the soul, within each and every one of us. Is your God you enough? And I call it the inner I, just in each and every one of us. Take this affirmation. I am in God, and God is in me, as me. Whew. When I say that, it's a stretch. And I don't always resonate with it because I don't always feel like it. But there's a part in me that's more and more getting in touch with it. And I've been inviting us to step into this, and I know it's a stretch. The thing of it is, do you know who you really are? Well, I'm thrilled to tell you and to let you know that you, in fact, are a child of God. Now, how often do you say to yourself that you're a child of God. I'm now starting to say it way more than I used to, because I used to say all kinds of things about myself, because I beat myself up more than anybody else can. But the thing of it is, I want us to take a look now of who we really are. Being one with the one is not being identical to it, but it is being what I'm calling this non-duality role. This non-dual means that we're not separate. It seems as though we are truly aligned with the one. Now, it seems strange, but the way that we do this, we need to become a nobody. Like Jesus was saying in Luke the 9th chapter, if you wish to be my followers, you must lose your very self. Our true self, the divine self, as us, is usually covered over and hidden under a whole bunch of labels and thoughts and concepts that we've been taught and indoctrinated. And because of life, we've adapted like our identity. Our emphasis is on that. But we want to manifest the deepest manifestation of ourselves, this, what I call this inner eye. We have to lose our attachment to all these labels and concepts and identify with the true identity of who we are, which is our divine identity. What I am talking about is anytime you say, I am, let's bring forth our true identity. So let's not say anything negative after the I am. And notice if we do, correct it and just make it something positive, but feel it. Let's make the I am created so it can come alive as our true identity, so we can lose that false identity. Well, what I'm talking about is allowing the presence of God within to move in and through us as us. So starting now, let's allow love to expand our capacities of knowing the divine. We can say, I behold the infinite face of God, who is beyond space, beyond time, whose love will always be larger and greater than any condition that you and I could ever experience. So let's behold the intimate face of God, who is close enough to hold us when we're hurting and personal enough to know us as our true, essential identity beyond those labels. So let's behold this inner face of God, this inner eye, and know that our ears, eyes, and hands and feet now are available for the divine to move forward in our life and in our world. So let's go forward now, fully expressing our unique flavor of love. And as we do, let's joyfully surprise everyone we see with magnificent possibilities that will automatically be exuding from us, because that's who we are. Yes, you are the intimate, inner, and magnificent face of God. I'm talking about the God that's beyond you and I, the God that is beside you and I, but also the God that's within you and I. Well, that's the truth. Let's breathe this in and let's say, I am in God. God is in me, as me. And as we do, let's see what happens in our life. Let's see what happens when this truth can really set us free. God bless you.